So today I want to talk about, we're going to talk about some goals. We're going to talk about meeting them and setting them, and what's the importance when you're trying to motivate employees and try to build everything and trying to motivate yourself, really. So later on, I'm going to actually bring on a friend of mine, she is Miss Colorado USA. She's just newly crowned, so it's, one of her biggest goals was to do that. Now, it's such a hard thing to do that I figured she's the perfect person to come on and talk. She's one of the most motivated people I've ever met, and hopefully that's a good interview. But what I'm trying to do today is I want to try to show the importance of actually making sure you're directing and actually making sure that you are setting goals for people and for yourself. I can't have my people achieve the things that I want and what they want if I don't put things in front of them to go get. And often when you're trying to achieve something, it's funny to see how many times people just don't go and put markers out there for them, and they just expect it all to get done. I mean, even if you're looking at like something like a podcast or a radio show, or everybody trying to aspire to be a YouTube or Instagram star, it's like, there are those few lucky ones where they go out there and they just put a video out or put a song out or whatever, anything artistic. You just put your work out there and you get lucky and somebody finds you. But unless you strategize and make sure that, like, hey, these are what I'm trying to achieve. If I want to go be an Instagram star, I'm going to be posting 5 videos a day, or, commenting on 5 videos a day, posting 3 a week, and promoting myself, putting the time and the effort into this. These are what I'm going to do because my goal is to have, 10,000 followers, to have this kind of reach, to be making, this much money from advertisers and everything like that. But if you just go out there and say, hey, I want to go be an Instagram star and I want to be popular, that's not really a goal. That's not how you're going to achieve it. That's not something obtainable, So when you've got a business to run and the goal is to make money, and you think you've hired this great employee, and this person, doesn't need much direction, or you don't think it needs much direction. This person is someone where you can just kind of let run. Eventually, they are going to go on their own path. They're going to go on their goals, and they're going to stop following what yours are because you haven't laid those out for that person. And it seems simple, and it is. But oftentimes, I think that's very overlooked. There's so many times that I don't set goals for myself, and then at the end of the week, when I go and look back at what I did this week, what I accomplished, I realized that, I did fine. I treaded water. I'm still here. I'm so happy with what I did, but I'm not as progressed as I should have been because I didn't set clear goals for myself. I had no yardstick. I wasn't able to achieve anything I wanted to achieve because I didn't tell myself I need to go get those. So we're going to talk to Madison. It's going to be a great interview, and we're going to take a dive into her head about like how she achieved one of her biggest goals. When I was trying to get this podcast thing off the ground, I had a lot of questions. I didn't even know how to record an episode. I didn't know how to get a show on Apple or Spotify or any other places that I like to listen to my podcasts. I didn't even know how to make money from a podcast. But really, the answer to every one of these questions is really, really simple. It's Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distribution, and anything else you need for your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculous easy to use. And now, Anchor can even match you with a great sponsor, so you can get paid to podcasts. I mean, I use Anchor obviously for this. I use it in all of our other podcasts because the best thing about it is I can just upload all of my audio, edit it there, and then just click one button and it goes to wherever I need it to go to. It's the greatest thing. Plus, they've made it easy for me to contact other people so that way I can get paid to do what I want to do. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, you should make money doing it. Go to anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start, ancor.fm/START. I can't wait to hear your podcast. All right, so I have Madison Dorenkamp, the Miss Colorado USA winner. She's a friend of ours. We met in college, and she's probably the most motivated person I think I've ever met in my entire life. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? That was so nice.
Yeah. Well, you are. You really are. When I first met Madison, it was actually the first time I met a couple of our volleyball teammates, and you can tell from that moment that she was like, "Hey, I don't want to do anything. Like, I'm not putting up with any of your BS."
Yeah, that's definitely me.
Yeah, she has it. She was ready to go from the moment, like day one. This is what she wants to do. So, I figure we'll just kind of jump right in. Like, what pushed you to competing in this, to being in this kind of setting?
So my mom actually ran the Miss Colorado America organization when I was growing up. So I had seen pageants and I loved them, but it wasn't my thing at the time. I competed in my first one when I was 18 and I pushed myself to do it. No one really was like, you have to do this, you have to do this. I just decided on my own that I wanted to see if I could do it and see if I could prove to myself that I could do it. And I knew then that it was something I wanted to do again in the future. And then I came back and competed after college.
Okay, so at 18, you started doing this. At 18, I mean, that's like, I feel like that's a little bit older than what most people start at. Because, I mean, Miss Teen USA right now is 18. What kind of goals do you put in front of yourself, like, to keep you going? Because you came back, you did it after college, and how many times have you done this now?
So this is my 5th time, and I won Colorado on my 5th time. I just knew it was something that would help me personally, and I didn't know if I would ever win, but I knew I wanted to find out if I could.
That's crazy. I mean, I don't think I've ever done anything 5 times. I don't think I've ever actually failed. Not done what I wanted to do 4 times before and be like, you know what, I could give it one more go.
I truthfully thought when I was going back to compete that I was competing with myself. So I would be like, how do I get better?
Right.
How do I crush the girl that I was the last time I competed?
Still, I mean, it's impressive to me that you went out there and you saw it, and that's how athletes and anybody really, that's the only way that you can do it. It's you see yourself not competing against the other people. It didn't matter what the other girls did. It's all about beating yourself the year before. And I don't know if I could have done that 4 times, 5 times.
No, it's crazy. And now competing at Miss USA, I'm thinking, how am I going to be better than the girl I was that won Miss Colorado?
Are you excited for it?
Pumped.
Super pumped. So, other than, this is such a cool experience to get to do. I mean, I know, you get the title and everything, and it gives you the opportunity to do, other things. You do philanthropy and kind of go around and make appearances and stuff like that. But other than doing this today, what is the most fun thing you've been able to do since winning Miss Colorado?
So there was a moment when I was giving a speech in Lamar, and it was to the 2nd grade class, I believe, and a girl completely related with my entire story.
Right.
And that was the moment that I was like, this is what I want to do. That feeling and that moment of connecting. And you could tell, was so inspired by my personal story and my background that girl will think of that for probably the next 10 years.
That's crazy. So Lamar, a small town, how many people live there?
8,000.
That's where you're from.
Yeah. So I went to Lamar High School for 2 years. and graduated with a class of 80. Before that, I went to Grenada and we had 12 kids in my class.
That 80, a graduating class of 80 is literally a tenth of the amount of people that I had in mine.
Yeah. And that's like big for that area.
Right. That's insane. But that's so cool. I mean, that is why you do it, is, when you achieve some of these goals that you actually have to kind of like reflect and see like, okay, well, now what's the next thing I'm going to do? And what is the whole point of me doing this? And to have that connection so early on after you achieved what you want to do it's invaluable. Like that's great that you got to go back there and hometown and see somebody that like you're like, this is going to help, because that's the only reason why I would do it,
Yeah.
So what are you most worried about? What's the most anxious thing that you're thinking about trying to go and compete in Miss USA? Because you already done, prerequisite, you're here, you're Miss Colorado USA, that's all awesome, but like now you got to go do more. It's not done yet.
So it's more like the fear of the unknown and the fear of the not trying. Both of those things bother me. So what I do is prep as much as I can and just be so mentally prepared for anything that happens that I can just handle it.
So like what are the biggest things then that like you've had to prep for? Like what are you gearing up to do the most?
I would say mental preparation is number one. Mental preparation at Miss USA is huge. Miss USA is just as much mental as it is physical and beauty, because you are with beautiful women and you have to be secure in who you are as an individual.
Again, I think it's less about competing with the person next to you, because like you're all there for a reason. Like this is the big leagues. You're not going to find somebody else who is, outright prettier than the other person or like done more than the other person. It's like, can you be better than you were to get to this point?
Totally. And can you just be yourself and
Right.
people see that?
So Colorado's one of the states that's never won. I think I was reading there's like, 11 states. Are you going to be pumped when you win it?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you going to do?
Probably thank everyone and cry, because I would just be so excited and overwhelmed at the whole experience. And I think even winning Miss USA is a big deal. Competing at Miss USA, in my opinion, if you go in there with the right mentality, you're coming out a winner.
Right.
Because you don't have to win a crown to win. And I've always said this. I said this about the state pageant. If I never won and continued to grow as an individual and become a better person, that I was winning something.
That's awesome. Like that's the best outlook you could have on it, honestly. Because you're right. It doesn't matter. There's one winner, but you got 49 other people competing, and there's no. As long as you're coming out there with some kind of game, like it's a waste of your time if you go there and don't get anything out of it.
Yeah, and if you're only going to Miss USA to win Miss USA, the odds on you coming out disappointed are very high.
Right, much higher than you are winning. Like that's a great outlook on it. So I like to focus on like differentiating, like making yourself different than your competitors. Not necessarily better, because you're all selling the same product. You're all trying to achieve the same goal. But like, what are you gonna do that's gonna make yourself different than the other people you have around you, the other girls?
Just being myself. Because I think my background is very different. My personal story is very different. And I want to share that. And I want people to be able to relate and connect directly with me because of that. And just appreciate that I am an individual.
That's awesome. You are one of the most genuine people I think I've ever met. You have been the same person from day one that I met you till now, which is very hard to say for a lot of people. Like it's super, super different. Even like myself, I've changed so much since we met, and I don't think you've been yourself the entire time. It's amazing. So what are your goals after it's all done? Because, if you win, life changes like instantly overnight. But like you said, if you don't, and you're already not planning on, you're making plans to go in this and get something out of it. So what are you trying to do afterwards, win or lose?
I'm thinking of this as like a springboard for a career. I right now have a blog, and
Just did it 1 year, like you've been doing it for a full year.
Yeah, we're at a full year. Pumped about it. I want to grow that and turn it into a brand. At some point, I would like a product, a cookbook. Think like Kristen Cavalieri meets Rachel Hollis. I would say in the next 5 to 10 years, I'll have a book or two. Like that is a big thing for me. I like to write. That's my creative outlet because
Right.
it's not like I can paint or anything. I don't have that skill set. So that's my first goal. I also am not counting out modeling or acting. I potentially might want to move. I'm really just interested to see how Miss USA goes, and I'm keeping all of the options open.
That's super smart. I mean, I feel like modeling is everybody's kind of modeling and acting. That's everybody's like first thought. That's the natural progression for it all. But I mean, you're right. You do have this blog that's going on, and it's fairly successful, I think. And you are a great writer. That would be. I mean, that's a good call. Keeping everything open and going forward. I know it's difficult because I blog, but my blogs are much more obscure than yours. They're about sports and soccer and stuff like that. And I do this, and this is fun, but it's very difficult to take something like this and actually make it profitable without having a springboard like that.
Yeah, you absolutely either need a springboard or you better be the hustler of the year. I follow Gary Vee. Mm-hmm. And The Skinny Confidential. The Skinny Confidential is actually how I found Gary Vee. I love her. I love her husband. I love their dynamic. And she is a full-on hustler.
Yeah.
And I always like to think of people being more motivated than I am. And I'm like, oh, she can do it. I can do it.
Right.
And I just like kind of keep going off of that.
You got that carrot in front of you to like push you. And you're like, she's there. She's doing all this other stuff. And you've got like a packed schedule anyway. I don't know how anybody could be more like hardworking. It's insane. All right. So part of setting these goals is like making things like obtainable and everything. Like my goal, I can't set a goal saying like, hey, I'm going to go win the Super Bowl, even though I've never played like a day of football in my life. So like to me in my head, being in like a pageant setting, being like Miss Colorado, being Miss USA is unobtainable for a lot of people. What was that moment when you're like, I can do this? When did it become reality?
So you have to believe you can do it way before anybody else.
So I could play in the Super Bowl is what you're saying.
Your ship might have sailed on that one. Yeah. Hate to tell you.
It's a little late.
But like I am like a big person of writing things down. So I will write down, and I've done this for years. Like we're talking like 4 or 5 years. I've told myself mentally that I was Miss Colorado. I was just waiting for everybody else to get there to realize it. But at the same time, you have to take steps. So goals are great. Let's do an action plan though. Like, what is your plan to get there and what are the steps to get there? Like for me, when I started my blog, this is a good example because I did just do my 1 year. I was like, I'm going to do a blog. I'm going to do a blog. I've been saying that for like 3 years. Right. Are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? Let's make a decision and let's get it done. And I'm like a rip the Band-Aid off person. Like I decided, I was like, great, I'm launching a blog on February 1st of last year. I don't know how to code. I don't know how to set up a website. I'm just going to figure it out. So I started doing some research, started figuring out what platforms to use, and you just take steps to slowly get there. And then it's all about consistency. So with anything like Miss USA, like my prep for Miss USA, I started with the prep obviously for Miss Colorado, like your fitness, your mental game, your journaling, your essence. What do I want people to think of when they think of me? Like, I don't want you, my first reaction is not for someone to be like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty.
Right.
I mean, that's great, but I want you to
Not
be
the
like,
goal.
wow, she really motivated me to do something. Or wow, she never gave up and her situations have not been ideal. That's what I do.
So Madison just gave us a picture, and I put it on my fridge. So now I think every morning what I'm going to do is I'm just like, give a little tap and be like, I got to be better than her today. That's going to be my motivation from now on. But that's it. It is true. I mean, it doesn't matter. Again, it has to be like realistic, and you have to put a plan in place to get to it. And that's the only way you can.
It's also so important to celebrate the little victories.
So how do you do that? How do you reward yourself from it? Like what? Big, little, everything. Like obviously you have to stay consistent to your plan. So it's not like you're going to go out and eat like 10 cheeseburgers afterwards after you had like a great workout. But like, what are you going to do?
I find something that I want to do. I love to go to the movies. So if I like crushed the week, or if I just feel like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing so well, I make sure I like appreciate that feeling. And if that means I like take an hour to hang out or read a book or take my dog on a walk, one of those little things that make me happy, that's a reward to me. I love to get my nails done. I love to get a facial. I love to do like things that make you feel good.
Yeah.
So if even like a normal day, like a normal work day, sometimes my days are tough. Like I'll be negotiating with insurance companies and not getting what I need.
Right.
I'm like, wow, that was tough. And then some days are like, yes, what a win for my life. Thank God I'm killing it today. And when that happens, I just like kind of relish in the moment for a minute. You got to celebrate it.
Because I think people forget too, like on top of being Miss Colorado and competing in the, Miss USA pageants and everything like that, you also are a real person, and you also do have a real life. So like you have you have to support yourself on top of doing all this other stuff. So it's not just like, you're right. Some days you're dealing with insurance companies in your job, and you are still expected to have a full-time job with, Miss Colorado USA.
Yeah, this is a balancing act. And thankfully, I think my life has always been a balancing act. I've been ready for that since like 16. When I was in high school, I competed in almost every sport you could. I say competed because I wasn't great at many of them. But I also worked and I went to school. So it would be like I would get up at 5 or 5:30 and go to cheerleading practice. I would go to school. I would work over my lunch break. I would go back to school. I would practice whatever sport I was playing, and then I would go back to work.
Right.
That's
insane.
like I've been ready for a balancing act.
You've been training
for years.
Even if you didn't know you were training, you were still training. So other than, doing this whole balancing act, what is the most difficult thing that you have to do? Like, what's the most difficult part about being Miss Colorado USA? What's the most difficult part about competing in this entire thing?
Making sure that people perceive you correctly.
Okay.
Because it's easy to kind of lose your individuality, and like for people to really understand what you want them to understand about yourself.
Again, you're not just trying to be a pretty face. You're not just trying to be...
Yeah, I want you to talk to me and remember who I was as a person. Like, yes, it's great if you think I'm attractive, but at this point, everybody's pretty.
Right.
So it's about more than that. It's about your brain. It's about your heart. It's about your soul. It's about what you want in life.
It'd be the hardest selling point, honestly, for me. It was like, that would be the most difficult thing, is how do you make it so that way I remember you as, Madison, and not as, Miss Colorado in a red dress, because that's what people are going to automatically see. Like, that's the first thing they see when they're watching on TV.
Yeah. The first thing you see is the physical beauty, and that's what kind of attracts people to you. But it's that personality and that soul and that vibe that makes you want to like them more. Like, have you ever met someone and they're so attractive and maybe their personality is not that great, and then they automatically become not that attractive anymore?
It's a lot less.
Yeah. So I want you to like meet me and be like, That girl has a beautiful heart. She has a beautiful mind. She's someone that I want to be friends with outside of this.
All right. So when you win Miss USA, what's the first thing you're going to do? Like, you're going to go hug your mom? Is it going to be, what are you going to do? After like everything's said and done, dust settles.
Probably like hug my family because I feel like they feel like they're competing in Miss USA at this moment.
They've been doing it with you for 4 or 5 times already.
Oh, yeah. And my mom actually went with me to what is called Pageant Power Week that my management and future productions does. And you could tell that she was like tired and groggy, and the poor thing was sick. And I was like, do you feel like you're competing at Miss USA yet, Mom? And she was like, I don't know if I could do this. So I'm so grateful for all the people that have showed up through the years, especially if you went and dug through my old pageant pictures. I like think of it as like a butterfly process because some of those pictures, I remember the first time I made the top 15, I wasn't in the best shape, but I was so excited because I had lost weight. And now I look at that and I'm like, oh my goodness. But there's the beauty in that. Like this is a process. This
Right.
isn't something that I just
not overnight.
woke up and jumped up and was like,
Right.
winning. It's not. I've had to work extremely hard to get to where I am. And there's been a lot of support. So the first absolute thing I would do is make sure that every person that has been there knows how much I appreciate that.
That's awesome. Well, I think I mean that's all the questions I have. I think this was amazing. Wish you the best of luck. We're definitely going to be watching. We're gonna do like a Miss USA party. You're invited, but you know you're competing, so I don't think you're going to show up, which is fine. It's all right.
As long as you eat a Reese's for me.
I will eat like 10 Reese's for you. I can
Perfect.
take all the extra calories and weight that you don't want to eat. I'll take them. It's fine. We don't know when the competition is yet, right?
Nope. I'll let you know as soon as we know.
Okay. Well, look for it. Everybody root for Madison. She's the sweetest person I know. So thank you.
Thank you.